Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Friday, September 5th, 2025, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. I'm live here in Atlanta, where I was speaking to the Noble Leadership Conference. I'll tell you more about that. Folks, horrible economic numbers come out today. Donald Trump can't spend this any other way. He is destroying the American economy. Economist Morgan Harper will join us to show you, talk about the carnage left in his wake. More people dying in the Tarrant County, Texas jail. And guess what? The sheriff there refuses to answer the questions of the Black County Commissioner. Commissioner Alisa Simmons will join us right here on today's show. Also, man, a lot of people are giving Tabitha Brown hell for saying to entrepreneurs, you might need to go get you a job. I've got a few things to say about her commentary. Plus, one of the 4 North Carolina A&T freshmen who launched the lunch counter sit-ins in that state has passed away. We'll talk about his life and legacy. Folks, it is time to bring the funk. Well, one thing, we're still celebrating our 7th anniversary of Roland Martin Unfiltered, the 4th anniversary of the Black Star Network. We got some compilations of y'all, some of the best of the last 7 years. Ooh, y'all know we gonna bring the funk. And it's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, MAGA Sheriff Bill Wayborn took over as Tarrant County Sheriff in 2017. Ever since then, 70 people, not 70, 70 people have died in the Tarrant County Jail. Earlier this week, at Commissioner's Court, Commissioner Alisa Simmons wanted some answers. Well, guess what? This arrogant SOB wouldn't even show up. Watch.
We did request the sheriff or one of his staff be present today to provide a briefing. Instead, this morning I received an email from the sheriff, which I was asked to read to the court. So this is dated September 3rd, 2025, to Tarrant County Judge Tim O'Hare and honorable members of the Commissioner's Court. The Precinct 2 Commissioner continues to ask for public briefings on in-custody deaths at the Tarrant County Jail. We have and will continue to be very transparent with these cases in terms of what information we are able to release. We are one of the few agencies that issues a press release on in-custody deaths. The practice places us as one of a limited number of agencies to proactively inform the public on such sensitive matters. Should any of the public, the media, or elected officials, including the Precinct 2 Commissioner, seek further information, they are encouraged to submit a formal records request through the Freedom of Information Act. Furthermore, the repeated lack of civility displayed by the Precinct 2 Commissioner towards Tarrant County staff is both hostile and unprofessional. I will not subject anyone from this office to that type of inappropriate treatment. Therefore, no one from this agency will participate in briefings requested by the Precinct 2 Commissioner before this court. We appreciate your understanding and remain available to collaborate in a respectful and constructive manner related to other issues. At your service, Bill Wayborn, Sheriff.
So, to the absent sheriff, hi. So the briefings aren't for the Precinct 2 Commissioner. The briefings are for the public. The briefings are because you were elected to serve everybody. You should not choose who you update on our jail population, on video magistration, on jail deaths, anything. The public tells us, the 69 elected officials in this county, what they want, and we do our best to give it to them. If you don't want your staff to come down here and take questions, that's your responsibility in the first place. I didn't ask you to send staff. I asked you to come down here. And where are you? Big, tall guy, big hat, guns, everything. And you can't take questions from the citizenry, your constituents. We need to be updated on these jail deaths. Nobody's asking you for specifics. 2 weeks after a jail death, you give us what you got. And then you keep coming and informing and updating the public because we need to know what keeps happening in this jail. You ought to want to be transparent. So you stay over there wherever you are hiding from your constituents. And a 125-pound commissioner. You ought to be able to answer questions. I don't know which camera to look into. It's just ridiculous. It's called responsibility. It's called professionalism. If you didn't do anything wrong, come say it. It is the responsibility of all elected officials to report out to the people that elected us. It's just real simple. It's not deep. You don't have to send your staff. It's what you were elected to do.
Now, folks, let me help y'all out. 2 jailers are facing charges in the murder charges in the death of Anthony Johnson Jr. Died after being pepper sprayed and forcibly restrained. In another case, a pregnant woman was left to give birth alone in her cell. Her baby did not survive. Oh, but I thought these people were so-called pro-life. Taxpayers have paid out more than $4 million in settlements and neglect, including the largest payout in county history. Now, again, the sheriff is like, I don't care. I'm not here before the commissioners to answer these questions. Joining us right now is Commissioner Alisa Simmons. Glad to have you back on the show. Again, I just want to be clear. 70 deaths since he took over in 2017?
No, 76. So we can say 75.
76 deaths.
Yeah, we can say 75. I count baby Zenora, the child that passed away. She was born in custody. When it was discovered, they rushed the baby to the hospital, so she died at the hospital, and the baby wasn't in custody, but I count baby Zenora. So 75 with baby Zenora, 76 in 8 years. We have people dying in our jail at an inordinate rate. So there's a problem that's unacceptable. And when I've been in office 2.5 years, it was suggested to me, and I thought it a great idea, that after we have these deaths, the sheriff come and brief us. So he decides when he's going to come and when he's not going to come. So if it's somebody that died, from a heart attack, he'll come and brief you. But if it's lethal force or questionable, he just doesn't show up.
No. Again, I want the public to understand something here. Commissioners are elected. The sheriff is elected. But the budget for the sheriff's department is approved by the commissioner's court. So he does answer to the commissioner's court when it comes to budget. These are county employees.
Absolutely. He's elected. We control the purse strings. But remember, Tarrant County is the largest Republican county in the country. We're the 14th largest county in the country. We're the last red county in the country. And so the commissioner's courts here are 5 people, and there are 2 Democrats and 3 MAGA Republicans. And so they support every penny that the sheriff and the district attorney budget and want to spend. So there's that. And people come to the podium, the public come to the podium and tell us to fire him. But because he's elected, the commissioner's court can't fire him. The people have to make sure they don't reelect him. So we do control.
But here's what. So are you telling me? So are you telling me you've had 75, 77 deaths since 2017, and the other commissioners, the Republicans, they don't care? They literally aren't demanding answers. They're not trying to hold the sheriff accountable, and they are perfectly acceptable with him being insubordinate, saying, "Oh, I'm not going to show up because Commissioner Simmons is hostile." When all you are doing is demanding answers, which your constituents elected you to do.
The other court members are not going to ask him to come. They're not going to force him to come. They're not going to try to convince him to come. They are friends, so they are shielding him. They are shielding him. In the meantime, there are families seeking answers. There are families like Anthony Johnson Jr.'s family seeking justice, like Chastity Bonner's family seeking justice. They want answers. In the Chastity Bonner case, did she in jail 3 weeks? How'd she get fentanyl? And where are the medical records that said she died from fentanyl? Better yet, where are the 3 minutes of video missing from her bookend? There are so many questions, and he is not answering them. He's not being forced to speak to these families, respond to me, a duly elected officer of the state, the commissioner's court. He has said no. You just and was cowardly enough to send an email, and I can forward you the email. So this is ridiculous. Keep in mind, the sheriff's own son was arrested back in March 3rd, for solicitation of a minor and assault of a police officer, both felonies and 1 misdemeanor. He has never darkened the door of the Tarrant County Jail. No charges have been filed by our DA, who vigorously continues to pursue Crystal Mason. The sheriff's own son is still out here. 2 felonies, solicitation of a minor and assault of a peace officer. So this is the law enforcement leadership we have in Tarrant County.
So we discussed this last night, and the bottom line is these are county-wide positions, and this is where we've got to have a concerted effort of black folks, of progressive voices, to be organized and mobilized. This sheriff can be voted out. This district attorney can be voted out. And that's just a fact. And even though they're gerrymandering, listen, these commissioners can be voted out. And so people have to actually give a damn and use the power of their vote to do so. I mean, you're down there fighting this. You're like a lonely voice in the wilderness. But I really hope people of conscience, people of color, black people in Tarrant County are preparing to move. When is the election for the sheriff and the district attorney?
For the district attorney, it's November 2026, same time as me. The sheriff was just reelected in November, so he's here for another 3.5 years. And before I was elected, let me give credit where credit is due. There were organizations, advocacy organizations, already at Commissioner's Court showing up about these jail deaths. Unity in the Community, the United Fort Worth, those are 2 African-American led and membership organizations. The Justice Network, Tarrant for Change, and the Fort Worth Tarrant County branch of the NAACP. So with regard to jail issues and jail reform, they have been on it. And so they are there. They are with me. We work together. But the broader, and since I've come into office, my staff has helped me, along with the advocates, elevate this issue more. So, it's out there. Everybody in Tarrant County knows about Bill Wayborn, this jail, but they didn't vote him out. They didn't vote him out. So we're stuck with him for another 4 years. These families are not experiencing the justice that they deserve, the answers that they need to bring closure. And at the same time, taxpayers are, your dollars are going to settlement payouts. And not only that, when you look at the Anthony Johnson Jr. case, the terrible lethal force case, I've seen the entire video, and it is horrific.
Gotcha.
We have been paying outside counsel to come in and do the district attorney's work. It's terrible here. Lots of stonewalling, gaslighting of constituents, won't give me data that I request, and now trying to paint me as an angry Black woman. So, I mean, it's unfortunate here, and people like you and I will say, you got to vote.
I'm going to bring my panel. Michael Imhotep, host African History Network show out of Detroit. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney, joining us out of Corpus Christi, Texas. Candace Kelly, legal analyst and host Not All Hood podcast out of South Orange, Georgia. Matt, you first.
Yeah, so Commissioner, first off, good afternoon to you. I had a question for you, kind of a procedural question. So is Tarrant County generally insured by TAC, by the Texas Association of Counties?
Yes. Well, we're large enough
to that end, Commissioner.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
So we do consult with TAC on insurance, but we're large enough to self-insure. So
to self-insure, okay. The reason I ask is because when I saw this story, and thank you for your advocacy, by the way. I was very interested in whether there was a way you could just directly get any claim that they've made and then publish that to the people, because I deal with this all the time with counties. Anytime I represent somebody in a jail death situation, it's very difficult to get the information because of all the PIA exceptions, as you well know. The sheriff can say it's a pending investigation and all that stuff. So it's very difficult to get. But as a commissioner, it seems like you could get any claim that's made because customarily the county attorney is going to send it to outside counsel. So is that a means by which you can get information and disseminate it? Because you don't have to go into executive session for that, right? You can get that and
you're right.
Let your constituents know.
Okay. Yes, sir. You're right. I can request it. I've requested data from this county, and it hasn't been given to me. I've been told that and like you said, you understand I'm an elected official, I have to get an attorney general's opinion. I mean, it's the continued insult and the disrespect that a commissioner that runs this county, have to go to the attorney general to get an opinion on releasing information to me, an elected county commissioner. It's stonewalling at its finest. But I will, as soon as I'm off, I will email over and ask for claims and see what I get.
Well, listen, you're dealing with some craziness down there, and okay, fine, that idiot sheriff is still there, but we can certainly move to take out that DA come next year, and I certainly hope people are organizing and mobilizing to actually do that. Commissioner Simmons, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, going to go to a quick break. We come back. We're going to talk about the awful economic numbers. And boy, you know it's bad when Donald Trump, the numbers are so bad. Now he's tweeting about Epstein. Boy, I thought he was trying to ignore Epstein. Oh, man, there's a lot we're going to talk about. You're watching Roland Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network, what's happening? It's your man, Kim. And look, my new single, Rock With Me, is on fire. We debuted as the #1 most added and greatest gainer at R&B radio. So look, I want you to go check it out at musicbykim.com. Listen to it, download it, tell me what you think about it. Also, make sure you sign up to be a part of my community so we can stay connected. At Music by Kim on all social media platforms. Thank you for rocking with me. And keep love on the one. 'Cause I want you to rock with me. We live in a strange world. 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 We live in
darkness falls forever, baby, let's be the dawn. When it feels like it's taking me over, you're making me stronger, my sweet love.
Hello, I'm Jamia Pugh. I am from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, just an hour right outside of Philadelphia.
My name is Jasmine Pugh. I'm also from Coatesville, Pennsylvania.
You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Stay right here.
My goodness, folks, the economic numbers that dropped today show horrible job creation in this country. Black unemployment jumps to 7.5%. Let me say that again in case you misheard me. 7.5%. That's black unemployment. Last year, it was a low of 6.1. And where are all those black MAGA people? Where's the help? I thought they were sitting here saying things are going to be great. This is going to be the golden era. Well, guess what? This basically is signaling a significant slowdown in the U.S. economy when it comes to employment growth. Overall, folks, last year, approximately 22,000 jobs. Just 22,000 jobs were added last month, significantly below the expectations of around 75,000 jobs that economists projected. Now, overall employment rate increased to 4.3%. And we see, of course, as we see what's happening with black people. Specifically, unemployment among black men increased to 7.1%. For black women, spiked to 6.7%. The rising unemployment rates for black women, often an early indicator of economic downturn, serve as another warning sign. Morgan Harper is the Director of Policy and Advocacy at the American Economic Liberties Project. Glad to have you back on the show, Morgan. I thought MAGA said this is supposed to be amazing. Oh, we were just going to be raining. It's going to be raining cash and things were going to be made. Now they're trying to blame the Fed and Jerome Powell. No. How about your stupid tariffs? How about the rising in food prices and all? We are seeing Trump was handed a great economy from Biden-Harris, like he was previously handed a great economy from Obama-Biden, and he's screwing it up.
Yeah, there's no denying. And I mean, I think, Roland, we don't need to look any further than the White House itself had to admit today how bad these numbers are. We know that these are not people that will ever admit to anything negative about Donald Trump. And there was no denying. Only having 22,000 jobs created last month. The fact that this is not just below expectations for what we were expecting for August for this year, but it's 70% lower than what were actually created a year ago before he was in office. I will say, I mean, I think a lot of this, and we can get to this a little later, is stemming from some issues that have been going on in the economy in terms of income inequality, wealth inequality for some time. But you are absolutely right that Donald Trump is exacerbating a lot of this with his reckless policies with tariffs and how he's implementing them without any accompanying domestic strategy. It's creating so much uncertainty in the economy. And there's a lot more here. I mean, the fact that manufacturing jobs, yes, have not at all been created with the 6-month straight decline. These are facts that we have not seen in some time. Construction jobs are negative for this past year or since the beginning of this year. And a lot of people now we're seeing are out of work. So the black unemployment numbers are really troubling. I mean, we've already talked about the fact that black women are impacted most by some of these federal job cuts. I think it's important, Roland, which maybe you've already noted, but the fact that now CNBC is having to report on these figures, I think shows just how real the risks are here and what it will likely mean for the broader economy. And that a lot of people are now, more in part-time jobs than we were seeing before. These are all adding up to an economy, that is very weak. No one knows exactly when a recession might come, what extent it might take or look like, but there's not a lot of positive information here.
Look at John Deere reporting a 26% drop in profits. You've got these whiny Arkansas farmers complaining about, oh my God, we're losing our farms, soybean crops, how are we being impacted? Well, guess what, you idiots? We were impacted by soybean crops in 2000 in the first Trump term. So I'm like, what are y'all talking about? But guess what? Arkansas, they voted for Trump. Tennessee people are complaining about prices. They voted for Trump. And so one of the things that I always said, and of course, John Deere is saying that the problems they have, increased tariff costs, reduced prices for corn and soybeans. As a result, they've laid off 200 workers at their plants in Iowa and Illinois this summer, and they warned the sales of its large farm machinery, the primary source of revenue, could decline by as much as 20% through 2026. In North Carolina, farmers are experiencing a double whammy. Prices for soybeans already fallen 40% from their peak in 2022, and China's retaliatory tariffs on U.S. soybeans remain in effect. We saw this last time. So I'm sorry, Morgan. Thoughts and prayers for these idiots who voted for him again after he destroyed farmers, leading to a $25 billion bailout for mostly white farmers the last time the idiot was in the Oval Office.
Yeah, and I think that's why you're hearing the messaging from them that, oh, don't worry, the real data is going to come soon, in a year. Don't worry about what's happening right now. Just hold your horses a little bit, and then you're going to see how great this economy is going to be. That's kind of like, you know, maybe I'm going to become the Queen of England. There's nothing about my current life that suggests that that's likely to happen, but that's the fantasy that continue to feed people. And it's not a fantasy. It's a nightmare. They have set up a nightmare, and it is going to impact farmers. I mean, we've touched on this before, but I think it's important to note again. They're trying to suggest that, oh, well, you know, of course there's going to be difficulty with some of these industries. We're taking on the immigrants. It's like, well, no, immigrants have been propping up the American economy, especially in industries like agriculture, but it's across the board. And so that's not a good thing. They're trying to make it seem like they're fulfilling this mission, but that's only going to add to the labor costs that a lot of these farmers are experiencing, in addition to the impacts from tariffs. So we're at the beginning of this journey. We are not at the end. They are going to, it seems, continue to try to dilute the American people into thinking that somehow this is part of a master strategy. But when you have the Secretary of Commerce that is on TV in reaction to these numbers today, suggesting that all is well and give it some time, I mean, this is madness. And again, really, really scary. So, I mean, I think the other thing to keep in mind as all of this is happening, and the experience of real people in the economy that know that they should be nervous, that know that they have no guarantee that if we do face another downturn, there is going to be an adequate government response that isn't just trying to pay political favors, that will actually do something for all Americans, that there is complete giveaway to some of the largest corporations in America. You know, so that there was a dinner last night with all of these tech executives congratulating, in the case of Google, for example, that their antitrust lawsuit is likely to go away, that it didn't result in them having to really change their business model, that we're going to collaborate with you all on AI. Who's that going to benefit? How many jobs is AI creating? And how many jobs are going to be created if it's just Google who's in charge of AI? So there's a lot going on. It's hard to keep track of it all. I appreciate, Roland, all you're doing to try to keep people informed, because, you know, we are headed in a really, really bad direction here, and we need to make sure that folks understand, are speaking out, and more importantly, are really coming together to figure out, okay, when this all completely falls apart, what do we need people to do? What do we need our elected officials to do, and really to look out for each other?
Morgan, I have said for the longest that broke white people are going to have to be harmed economically for this country to wake up. And guess what? We're on our way. Now, we already see this impacts African Americans, it impacts Latinos, it impacts all people of color. But what these white folks are going to have to feel the pain, it is going to have to be direct, immense. So when you talk about, listen, right now, we've never had this many homes on the market for sale, and folks are like, I ain't buying, because they have economic uncertainty. They don't know if they're going to have their jobs. You got interest rates up. And so folks are like, man, you got now those people who are trying to sell those homes now have to sit on those homes, and they're not going to be economically harmed. The DOGE cuts, the firing of the federal workers, the canceling of the billions in grants. What you saw was literally, if I have to phrase it, this was an economic seizure that took place that's now metastasizing into an economic heart attack. And these people are like, oh my God, what do we do? And guess what? Y'all voted for it. This is exactly what you voted for. So when I hear one of these white folks go, we didn't vote for this. Yes, you did. You simply didn't pay attention.
Yeah, and so that's why I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. They're saying, in a year it's all gonna show how it's positive, and you'll see the strong economic growth. I mean, a year from now takes us to a little bit before November 2026, and there's going to be a lot of elections then. So how this is all massaged over to the American public that they should still support all of these Republicans that have completely co-signed on this agenda, that have not put up any sort of resistance to things like the Medicaid cuts that are going to be another. I mean, I got to say, I was on a conservative outlet this week where they do these debates between the liberal and the conservative host, and this woman's laughing in my face when I'm saying, what really threatens safety is like things like taking away people's health care, taking away their economic security. That's what leads to increases in crime, and that's what you all are doing. And she's laughing at me. I was like, This is, I'm not just making this up. This is research. This is data. These are facts. They don't want to admit that, but it is coming, and it is going to be really bad. And I think the other thing, the other justification that they're using to try to kind of earn more time or have the public stay with them is that, these tax cuts, the tax cuts are coming. This is what's going to make businesses invest and then really bring back the manufacturing. We have a financialized economy in the United States. The companies that are really driving economic growth, many of them are public companies that are closely tied to the stock market. When they get extra money, they don't have to use that to build a new factory. They can use that to pay dividends to their stockholders. So, what would make them more likely to do something like invest in building a factory would be the government creating subsidies and incentives for them to use their money for that purpose, rather than just paying it out to themselves in huge CEO packages. That is not happening in this administration. So what is likely to happen with these tax cuts for companies? They will keep that money for themselves. They will make themselves richer. That is not likely to improve the economic outlook for most of the people living in America. And I agree with you, Roland. I mean, unfortunately, it does appear that until we have broad-based, including a lot of the white voters that supported Donald Trump, that are feeling that economic pain, I don't know that we're going to see anything different. I guess the other thing I would add, though, is that I don't know if even once experiencing that, the connection is going to be made that it's this administration's fault. And that's the political question that Democrats are going to face ahead, looking at 2026 and 2028. What's the counter message to what they will be saying? Because they will do whatever they can, I think, to make this seem like it's not their fault. And then what is our vision for the future?
Questions for the panel. Candace, you're first.
Yeah, Morgan, I am wondering, where are the jobs? I think that's what people want to know. If they're not here where I am, if they're not there with the 319,000, Black women especially that got let go from their jobs between February and July, where can people go? Is it a state? Is it an arena, an industry that we're just maybe not thinking of or looking at that there might be something there?
Well, the only industries that seem to still be creating jobs, given the real steep decline in job growth, is healthcare. But even in that stat from the last month's data, it's showing that healthcare job openings are declining as well. And so, if people were looking for an industry that's a little bit more safe from the impacts of tariffs, usually, healthcare and government would be two industries you would look towards. But in this environment where state budgets are going to be cut, where we know DOGE has really eliminated a lot of the possibility of getting hired in the federal government, healthcare remains. But I think we also need to be honest about the fact that our healthcare industry has been financialized, like I was talking about before. So when they are also facing some uncertain economic headwinds, when there has been no intervention from the government to force them to spend their money in a certain way, what are a lot of corporate healthcare systems going to do? Continue to pay their executives a lot of money, perhaps, and continue to try to get as much as they can out of insurance companies and such, but not necessarily anything that's going to pass along to higher wages for their employees, for example, the practitioners, healthcare workers, create more jobs, try to hire more people. They might also be crunched in that way. That is leading to things like fewer job openings right now. So again, not at all a good jobs report here. And this is something that I do think, though, we need to continue to make sure people are sharing their stories of what they're experiencing on the ground in these industries. But yeah, when we have healthcare that's not available, I think when we look at the Black male unemployment rate rising, that can also be driven by things like manufacturing and also transportation, logistics jobs that are being contracted as well. These are not the safe industries that one might expect, especially given some of the promises from the administration about what we were supposed to be getting from their policy decisions.
Michael?
All right, Morgan. So, Morgan, I'm confused because I thought rounding up all these illegal immigrants was going to open up the job market. And when we look at the reporting from the Census Bureau and Pew Research, 1.2 million immigrants are gone from the U.S. workforce under Donald Trump. So why is it the job market exploding? I thought that's why people were voting, because he was going to round up the illegals. Please explain it to me.
Yeah, I mean, and we have to almost laugh to kind of work through all of this, but it's just, it is really unbelievable, just the lies that are being spewed right now and the impact that it's having on real people and communities. And so, yeah, like I was saying before, I mean, the U.S. economy at this point, not just in agriculture and food service, a lot of different industries relies on the work of immigrants. We can have a whole separate conversation about the legality of how a lot of people have come into this country or not, and whether or not they should be here given how they got in here and the policies to do something about that. That's a conversation that could be had. You know who is really well positioned to have it and do something about it? Republicans who are in control of Congress and the White House.
Right.
If they wanted to pass a bill tomorrow to do something about immigration and how that impacts the labor market and making sure that Americans are getting the jobs that they want, they could do that tomorrow. That's not what this is about. This is about political points that they want to score to be able to maintain political power. It is having a very detrimental impact on the economy, because the reality, again, is that we need a lot of immigrants to be able to support the industries that are driving our economy.
Yeah, especially farming.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me first say it's hard for me to have Candace and Morgan in the same place. It's too much brilliance in one spot. So y'all got to break this up next time. But in any event, Morgan, my question for you.
Oh, my God, the sucking up is amazing.
I was like, I like that.
Can I continue? Thank you.
I'm a big fan of Candace.
Is this a harbinger for even worse things to come? And I ask because I know the Salesforce CEO said something like, I'm getting rid of 4,000 jobs because I need less heads with AI. This is obviously what's going to be kind of the future. And my question for you is, how is that represented in these numbers? Because you're seeing a contraction overall, right, in terms of what workforce for a lot of these corporations. And to that end, what ideas, I know you've already mentioned healthcare, but are there any other sectors that you suggest people look at in terms of insulating themselves for even further declines with less, people needed in the workforce?
Well, yeah, and thank you for your compliments and your questions. So what I would say is, some of the data that we're seeing from this past month is showing that people who are looking for jobs are looking for those jobs a lot longer. That's one of the things that's showing up in the data. And so that does connect to something like the Salesforce CEO announcing, hey, we're on pause. We're laying people off, which means we're not going to be hiring people more. He's saying it's AI, and maybe it is, but maybe it isn't, right? And there's a lot of other companies that are announcing layoffs that are using the cover of the economic uncertainty to be able to just kind of shed workers. Because again, this connects to what is driving our economy right now. And a lot of the companies that are in the US that are responsible for our growth, they are connected to the stock market. They are financialized. They win when they are rewarding stockholders. They are not winning when they are paying the average American to work at their company. And so if they have a little bit of an opening to be able to say, hey, this labor cost, we can kind of reduce this a little bit, most of them are going to take that because they don't actually give that much of a shit about what's going on at the community level for us as Americans, right? And so that is not to say that there aren't companies that are legitimately reacting to the uncertainty and the bad policies that are coming out of this administration and making the very valid and rational decision of, we can't expand right now. We can't do more hiring. But I think we need to distinguish between those types of companies and be honest about how they might differ, how your small business or an independent business that is not able to withstand some of the impacts of these increased tariff prices, and a very, very large company like a Salesforce, like a Meta, like a Google, that they have a lot of financial resources to withstand uncertainty, might use this moment as an excuse to be able to get rid of some of their labor costs. And so,
Gotcha.
Yeah, and now I'm trying to remember the second part of your question because I went on too long. What was the second?
Well, it's just basically how listeners might look for certain sectors that will insulate them, more so than others.
I mean, I wish I had better news there, and I think this is so. Like I said, I mean, healthcare is one that traditionally should be a little bit more insulated. And so, but unfortunately, we are seeing that even that sector is being impacted right now with fewer openings. Government, similar kind of thing. And so I think that is a very dire observation and in reality that's showing up in the data right now, that there might not be any sectors that are extremely safe. I'm not trying to give people exact financial advice or certainly not life coaching type of advice, but this might not be the kind of time to make a big move financially or with a job, because it's not clear. And like I said, and what's showing up in the data is people who are looking for jobs might be looking for them longer. A lot of young people aren't able to get jobs at all, also a risk. And so the unfortunate thing is that who is set up to continue to take big risks? Well, it's just like that dichotomy between small businesses and big corporations. People who are already pretty affluent, who don't rely on wages as much for covering their day-to-day expenses, that have more wealth, like an Elon Musk that's now being offered this $1 trillion pay package. Well, they're going to be able to continue to take those risks and consider different industries, and maybe they want to start a business. For the rest of us, I don't know that this is the time to necessarily do that, but something for everybody to consider for themselves and make a decision there. But I don't think there's any way to look at this data and suggest that America economically is on a great trajectory.
Well, and on that particular point there, Morgan, when we talk about, if you tie this economy to the number of homes that are available, again, people are not about to make a major purchase, have to put down 10, 20, 25%. If you don't know what's going to happen, you're like, yo, I need to hold on to cash. This is the thing that people don't understand about the American economy. We're a $30 trillion economy, but 70% of the American economy is based on spending. Spending. So if people don't have money, they're not making money, they can't spend. Second, if people are fearful that they're going to lose their jobs, the first thing they're going to do, stop spending and start conserving. So when you look at the consumer confidence, that's a hallmark right there of like, hey, where do people stand? And people need to understand, when Americans stop spending money and start saving money and conserving money, you can bet a recession is on its way, because they're scared to death that they're not going to be able to have that cash 3, 6, 9 months down the road.
Absolutely right. And here's another point on the data, and something for people to keep in mind as they're seeing different news reports. And because we're seeing, consumer spending is still up. There's data showing that consumers are not optimistic about the economy. But then you see this data that's the spending is staying consistent. And now reporting is showing, well, that spending is being driven almost entirely by the highest earners and those that have the most money. So when you look at it in the aggregate, oh yeah, Americans are still spending money. But when you dig a little deeper, it's like, no, rich people are still spending a lot of money. The average person is starting to pull back. And Roland, just to add another layer to that, yeah, in the best case scenario, people are pulling back and are still able to cover their necessities and basic needs. But what we're also starting to see creep up is debt. And that even in the case of things like groceries, more consumers are relying on things like, the buy now, pay later platforms, like Affirm, like lending to buy something that's just one discrete item, not lending to buy a house, lending to buy some groceries or get grocery delivery. That is a whole new ballgame for the American economy, having that layer of type of debt that is now in the mix of, yes, what has been a spending and finance to spend economy for the U.S. consumer over the last at least 20 years, but going back even further as we've seen the government kind of back out of really supporting American workers since the 1980s.
And to make matters worse, I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but I'll go ahead and bring it up. How stupid is Donald Trump and ICE? You got Hyundai. Hyundai's building a multi-billion-dollar factory in Georgia, and these idiots are arresting the South Korean workers. I don't think that's going to go over well with the South Koreans. And if this stupidity happens, you're going to have these foreign people, these foreign companies who Donald Trump keeps claiming are going to be investing trillions of dollars. It's all a lie. They're going to be like, we're not about to spend money in this country. ICE arrested 475 people at the Georgia Hyundai electric vehicle plant, including South Koreans who were there working on the building of their plant. That's another stupid thing to do, Morgan.
Yeah, and when you've empowered, I mean, where is government spending going right now? You've empowered ICE to engage in vigilante justice as they define it. This is the type of idiocy that we get. Yeah, not logical. I mean, I was on the show in Columbus last night, and we're each going to our cars. I have a Ford F-150 truck. He's going into his Honda. He's like, oh, but made in America. And I was like, yeah, but it's a foreign company. So to your point, Roland, these companies that, yeah, they are foreign companies, but they are creating jobs in the United States. Honda, huge presence in Ohio. Yeah. Hyundai, this factory. So we are in a global economy, and we are very much connected to a lot of companies that are based other places wanting to invest in America and in U.S. workers and as we see, in some cases, workers from other places too, but these are drivers of economy, especially at the regional level. And so, yeah, there's no logic to what's going on. It's all leading to a real economic problem for us, and let's just hope that more people wake up to what's happening.
All I have are 4 letters, FAFO. Morgan Harper, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett just goes off on Republicans regarding the Epstein files. We got the Crockett Chronicles for you. Also, Tabitha Brown has really pissed a lot of people off because she said that some entrepreneurs, hey, you need to get yourself a job. I got a few things to say about her comments. You don't want to miss this. Plus, we remember one of the Greensboro Four, one of the 4 North Carolina A&T students that sparked the nationwide, or really across the South, lunch counter sit-in. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. We celebrate 7 years of this show. Yesterday, 4 years of the network. Your support is critical. Our goal is to raise $1 million between now and December 31st. We've already taken in $125,000. So right now, folks, our target goal is $875,000. If you want to contribute to us, please do so. For Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see the QR code right there. Use the same thing for credit cards. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And check some money order and make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send it to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. Back in a moment.
Next on the Black Table with me, Craig Carr. Immigrants lured off Texas streets and shipped to places like Martha's Vineyard and Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, we've seen it all before.
You people in the North, you're so sympathetic to black people, you take them.
60 years ago, they called it the reverse freedom rides. Back then, Southern governors shipped black people north with the false promise of jobs and a better life. It's a part of a well-known playbook being brought back to life. So what's next? That's next on the Black Table, a conversation with Dr. Gerald Horne about this issue of the reverse freedom rides, right here on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
DC has been ravaged and taken over by tanks,
soldiers, police officers over the last 2 weeks, and it's only starting there. Trump has announced that he also has plans to bring this to Chicago, Baltimore, and New York City. So we're going to dig into it. This is On the Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Now that Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint, hey, Cyrus, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood show and the Roland Martin show? Well, whatever show it's going to be, it's going to be good.
Boy, things got heated on Capitol Hill with Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett went off on Republicans. You know, Donald Trump has been doing all he can to shut down the release of all the Epstein files. Now you got this stupid fool, House Speaker Mike Johnson, claiming that Donald Trump was an FBI informant to take down Epstein. They just make shit up every single day. But Congresswoman Crockett, she wasn't having none of that. Roland.
It's interesting that we're sitting here and we're talking about the so-called threats to the First Amendment when the biggest threat to free speech right now is the old guy that is sitting over in the Oval. Now, Mr. Farage and I met over a month ago, and he has made it a brand of being this free speech warrior. And one of the things that I wanted to recap was the fact that he literally tried to shut down my ranking member as he was engaging in his own free speech. It seems like it's more so free speech for me, but not for thee, a lot of times with certain people. And it's sad that he had to run and have lunch with Trump or to go raise some money for his 4-member party. So, Mr. Price, you get to be the lucky one to help me figure out what exactly free speech advocates believe. It's good to see you again. You tell me whether these government actions support free speech or suppress it. Let's call it free speech or federal suppression. Fining or defunding news outlets or companies because they don't share a particular political message.
I think I'm not entirely sure what context you're referring to. I think I'd need a little bit more information.
So, long story short, if they decide that they are going to fine or defund any news outlet simply because it doesn't necessarily go far left or far right, do you think that that is a violation of free speech?
Well, I'm not entirely sure how it would connect with, let's say, the area of expertise that I have. I think you may be referring to the PBS controversy. It's probably not something that I would be able to really...
Not necessarily, but let me go to Professor K. Professor K, did you understand my question? Fining or defunding news outlets or companies because they don't share a particular political message?
Yeah, thank you for the question. At the very core of the First Amendment is a prohibition of viewpoint discrimination.
Okay.
And what you described sounds like viewpoint discrimination.
So it definitely sounds like federal suppression. If you require news outlets and companies to have content moderators to ensure their coverage promotes a political ideology or leaning, would that be federal suppression?
Well, that does sound like an interference with a company's content moderation decision.
Banning materials because of their content.
Materials? Yes,
so like books.
Oh, of course. Well, and we've seen this in the range of book bans at libraries across the country.
Absolutely. What about threatening private companies with lawsuits or fines unless they do the government's bidding?
It sounds like pressure that would be undue, yes.
Okay, so I agree with you. All of these actions are exactly what Trump has done since he's taken office. Make no mistake, Trump is weaponizing his idea of free speech to force folks and companies to become his political puppets to promote his propaganda. Trump and Republicans defunded NPR because they argued it was biased. Trump has removed books discussing racial discrimination at U.S. military academies, including the amazing Maya Angelou's autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. He's tried to strip funding to schools across the country if they don't remove materials that include discussions of racial discrimination or that promote diversity. And in order for the merger between Paramount and Skydance to happen, the FCC chairman and Republican-appointed commissioners required Skydance to establish a bias monitor. And in its FCC order noted reports, quote, concerning negative media coverage of the Trump administration. This is to say nothing of Trump pushing television networks to get rid of comedians and talk show hosts who criticize his administration, say like Mr. Colbert. Let's call this what it is. It's Trump weaponizing the idea of free speech to force people, institutions, and companies to be his mouthpieces. This ain't free speech, it's propaganda. Meanwhile, my Republican colleagues are out here having a meltdown over the European bill, one that, by the way, includes provisions to fight child trafficking. You know, it's frustrating because we talk about being fiscally responsible and we talk about free speech. And right now, as we're having these discussions, you know who's trying to shut down members from voting in the way that they want to vote? It's the president, who literally said he would look at anyone who decided that they were going to vote to release the Epstein files as hostile. That sounds like a threat as it relates to all First Amendment protections, in addition to the fact that it's literally contravening our constitutional duty that we swore an oath to, because we don't swear to an orange king. Instead, we have sworn an oath to the Constitution, and we were elected to represent the people that elected us. Thank you so much, and I'll yield.
Candace, these people don't give a damn about free speech. What they care about is that they have free speech and they shut everyone else down.
Not only they shut other people down, but they also make them pay. It costs you to say what you want. Ask ABC, ask CBS. But what we're going to see now with these Epstein files is something else that they would have never seen before. And that is, as we know, these women have come together, and people from all sides of the political spectrum are now saying, we can just give that list by ourselves. We can go on this floor, we can claim immunity and use somebody else as a mouthpiece who has volunteered, and we are going to get that list by ourselves. He's got another thing coming. I don't think he saw this coming. I don't think he saw the crossing of people who have always been at the other end of the spectrum come together to say, this is ridiculous, and you can't force us to pay you to shut our mouths. We are going to say what we want because we're on the political floor. And that's going to be the difference, I think, in this one with these Epstein files. It's really a shame, too, because I think that people, they're just trained to listen to Trump. And the more and more he says something, at some point, it's like the tipping point. And all of a sudden, they just believe him for no reason. It's partly that. It's partly the algorithm. It's partly just people wanting to believe that the vote that they put in is actually working out when it's not. When it's not. We are going to see a lot from these Epstein files, and everything that we've seen so far is leading me to believe that we're going to go down a path that we have never gone down before.
This is what happens when you elect somebody, Michael, who has no morals, values, principles, or ethics, no integrity, no honor, or decency.
Absolutely. And also, don't forget somebody who tried to overthrow the government and incited the insurrection. Let's not forget that also. And then gave a pardon to the insurrectionists, 1,500 of them approximately, on his first day back in office. So this was predictable. And this is a guy who was good friends, but according to Jeffrey Epstein, who's dead now, he can't speak for himself, but he was good friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 10 years. Okay. And see, the question I have is like, okay, so Jeffrey Epstein was sexually abusing all these women for years, right? So at what point did Donald Trump realize that Jeffrey Epstein was sexually abusing underage girls and women before he cut off the friendship with them? See, that's a question that I have. You were friends with him for about 15 years, right? At what point did you realize, you know what, there's something wrong with this guy? But this is, when you deal with somebody with no morals, who is an authoritarian, who is in mental decline. They talked about Biden's mental decline. This guy's getting worse day by day, okay? And he's getting desperate also. This is not going away. Speaker Johnson ended the House session before the recess a day early to avoid taking a vote. And then they come back after vacation, and and then you have the press conference, okay? This is exploding, and you have last count I heard, there are 2 Republicans short of Thomas Massey's and Ro Khanna's bill being able to be put on the floor, getting that pushed through. They need 218 votes. So this is not going away. It's getting worse for Donald Trump.
Matt?
I mean, my thoughts are a little bit of a combination of Candace and Michael's. I mean, something that Candace indicated is what I see, and that's the Trump administration takes the position of the more we say it, the more we legitimize it. I think the problem with that, to Candace's point, is that they underestimated how much people would draw the line at his association with Epstein and them not being truthful about what's in those Epstein files. And, you know, all of Bondi's back and forth and DOJ's back and forth about whether they'll release things, what they won't release, all of that. Long story short, I don't think that even the people in their base are okay with his association with that. And I think they're running scared, frankly, to see how long they can keep it concealed and see if they can distract us with other things before that flag really gets planted. But I think you got a problem when even crazy Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that she's going to, you know, want to know everything that's in those files, right? Like that's, they've been towing the MAGA line so long that when you see a break like that, I think that's a harbinger of something bad to come for the administration. So, I mean, that's what I'm seeing. But what I see with the media and what I see with people in his base is the more they say it's legitimized. And the thing I don't understand with that is you've done a great job on this show over the years of pointing out all the dishonesty, all the falsehoods, all the lies. Well, you see so much vacillation as it relates to the administration and his relationship with Epstein and what they're going to release with Epstein, that at a certain point, you know, you wonder the people who are the same people who were, you know, calling for the heads of all those people when they thought that pizza place there in D.C. housed, you know, a den of pedophiles at the bottom of it, those crazy folks. Those are the same people who were a part of MAGA. And I don't know how long they can run before they have to give that information up. And I suspect that information is going to Michael's point, show that he had a much cozier relationship with Epstein than he's willing to let on. And I think that is going to be, you know, irreparably damaging to him and his administration. But I don't know what the back end of that is, because you were watching him trample over the Constitution on nearly a daily basis. And the guardrails we thought would keep, you know, some of that action from happening have not been effective. So I don't know what that means at the end, but I think they're running from having to give that information up.
But of course they are. All right, y'all. Quick break. We come back. Many of y'all have seen the comments Tabitha Brown made on social media about entrepreneurs getting a job. Man, a lot of people are in their feelings. I got to comment on this thing. And I'm going to do so next, right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network, what's happening? It's your man, Kim. And look, my new single, Rock With Me, is on fire. We debuted as the #1 most added and greatest gainer at R&B radio. So look, I want you to go check it out at musicbykim.com. Listen to it, download it, tell me what you think about it. Also, make sure you sign up to be a part of my community so we can stay connected. At Music by Kim on all social media platforms. Thank you for rocking with me. And keep love on the one.
'Cause I want you to rock with me. We live in a strange world till the darkness falls forever. Baby, let's be the dawn. When it feels like it's taking me over, you're making me stronger, my sweet love.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Immigrants lured off Texas streets and shipped to places like Martha's Vineyard and Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, we've seen it all before.
You people in the North, you're so sympathetic to black people, you take them.
60 years ago, they called it the reverse freedom rides. Back then, Southern governors shipped black people north with the false promise of jobs and a better life. It's a part of a well-known playbook being brought back to life. So what's next? That's next on the Black Table, a conversation with Dr. Gerald Horne about this issue of the reverse freedom rides, right here on the Black Star Network.
What's up, y'all? This is Wendell Haskins, a.k.a. Win Hogan at the original T Golf Classic, and you know I watch Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, actress, author, entrepreneur, social media star Tabitha Brown. Let's just say caused some people's getting their feelings when she said this the other day about entrepreneurs and jobs.
Hello there. Real quick, that this is not to discourage you, because I want us to be clear about that first, okay? You kind of been in this place for a long time. Okay, now listen, you got good ideas. Baby, you got good ideas. Your execution is not as good, okay? Your follow through, not as good. The ideas, though, are great. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And that doesn't mean it's not for you, but right now, these last few months, few years, you know what I'm talking about. Baby, it ain't been working for you, okay? And you're doing a lot of robbing Peter to pay Paul. Okay, you done got yourself in some mess, and it's time for you to get a job. You hear me? You just gonna need to get a job for a little while. Okay, it don't mean your ideas ain't good. Okay, it don't mean that maybe one day you could be a good entrepreneur, but you have proven to yourself and everybody else that you owe money to, okay, that it ain't working right now. Okay, it ain't worked for a while. It actually has never worked yet. Doesn't mean it won't ever work. But right now, you need to go to work. You're gonna need to get a job, okay? And then keep working towards it. But at least you'll have a job while you are pursuing that thing. But right now, you need to get a job, baby. All right? That's it. I love you. Now go about your business. Okay, have a good night. Tomorrow, have a good day. But even if you can't have a good one, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's him. Don't be mad at me. Okay?
So I'm sitting here perusing social media, and I'm looking at people who were just in their feelings, upset, mad, angry, saying that Tabitha was wrong for what she had to say, and that it was just, how does she squash someone else's dream? And I'm sitting here and I'm reading all of this sort of stuff, and I'm like, really? Let me explain to y'all something. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My grandmother had a catering business. But do you know what my grandmother was doing while she was building her catering business? She was working at a florist. Yeah, she was a florist. And so she was excellent at floral arrangements. And then decided to open a catering business. And she was working at the florist and starting her catering business. And then when the catering business reached a certain level, then she left the florist to run the catering business. My mom had a cake business. I remember my mom taking the classes, the icing classes, the decorative classes. That was at nighttime. She was working in an insurance company in the daytime. And so the cakes was a side business. But she had a job. I have said to people for years, my sister He's a great artist. Business. But what did I tell my sister? While you are building your art business, that is your side hustle. You need a main hustle. I've said this to people for years, that if you're trying to start a business, very rarely do you simply come out of the gates, boom, you're ready to go. No, because you've got office, you've got equipment, you've got expenses. And so what you have to do is methodically build. And so this is the example. I'm going to show y'all exactly how I've explained this. This is your main job. This is your side hustle. And your job is to take your side hustle, and it does this here. And it does this here. Until your side hustle is equaling your main hustle. And now you have a decision to make. And that decision is, does my side hustle now become my main hustle, or do I keep my main hustle and I'm satisfied with my side hustle being right here? Because see, understand something here. And my brother, he's had to do this. I totally get it. Hey, I got a business, but I need health insurance. So I'm going to run my business, but I'm going to still do this job over here because it's giving me health insurance. So even though I really, really, really want to do this, I'm not ready to pay my own health insurance because I got it over there. It's the same concept, y'all. So I don't understand why these people are acting a fool. What Tabitha had to say. It's some basic common ass sense. %95 of all black-owned businesses do $5 million or less in revenue. When the study was done, they said there were 2.9 million black-owned businesses in America. 2.8 million had one employee. I said those are not businesses. Those are sole proprietors. For me, a business, if you got 2 or more employees, not one person. I'm not going to call it a business. I'm just not. So I don't understand why people don't get this. And see, I know everybody named Mama right now is, oh, I'm trying to secure my bag. I want to be a boss. But let me be real clear. A bunch of y'all can't be a boss. Because you know shit about being a boss. See, let me be as blunt as possible. Having CEO on a business card does not mean you have a business. Having founder on your business card does not mean you have a business. I need y'all to understand, I get more people who roll up on me, who want to come on the show and want to be in the marketplace segment. Oh man, I got a business. I got a business. Do you really have a business? Or do you have a side hustle? Now see, I've discussed this before. We celebrated 70 years yesterday, Roland Martin Unfiltered. My TV One show was canceled, I think December 7th or December 9th. I think it was December 7th. The final show was 2 weeks later. In January of 2008, that was 2017. January 2018, we decided to do the State of Our Union on January 30th, 2018. There were black members of Congress who said they would not go to attend Trump's speech to Congress. I'm at the Image Awards, and I'm like, we could do this special. Now, here was the deal. Well, we did it at Metropolitan Church in D.C. And then what happened was, and we were doing it together, so we were trying to figure out, what do we need to do? What do we need? What equipment do we need? I'm sorry, my apologies. It was at Shiloh Baptist Church. on January 30th. My apologies, Shiloh Baptist Church. I already own the cameras. I own the switcher. I own the lights. What we need to do was we need the bar stools, so we went and bought the bar stools. So I probably end up spending probably a couple of $1,000s. But basically, everything we needed for the broadcast I already owned. How? Well, because when I was at TV One and at CNN, I was buying equipment while I was there. You hear what I said? So the job that I had was allowing me to purchase equipment for my business. Now, mind y'all, I had my business for 15 years. When I was at CNN, CNN was paying my business. TV One was paying my business. Tom Jones Morning Show was paying my business. I was a contract worker. Okay? But I didn't have my fully functioning business. So I was buying equipment when I had these jobs. So when January 2018 rolls around, I'm no longer with CNN. My TV One contract was only 8 more months. Tom Jones was ending December 2019. But I was building the business while having a job, and that was paying for all of this stuff. So when it was time to go full throttle on the business, I just pivoted. And so that's the lesson she's trying to explain to some of y'all. So if you are mad and upset with what she said, here's my question. Do you have a real business right now? And if you don't, why are you acting like hit dog hollering? See, I need a lot of people in our community to sometimes shut the hell up and realize you don't know what the hell you're talking about. No one is trying to kill your dream. What they're trying to do is give you some critical information that will allow you to be able to methodically and organically build your business, take your idea from idea to inception to fruition to success. Now, if some of y'all are so hard-headed, go on right ahead. So I'm going to tell you right now, the road is littered with wannabe entrepreneurs who burn through all of their money, who burn through all their relationships, who went out and got office space and did all this sort of stuff, and they had no business plan. And in many ways, they had no business being in business. Go to my panel for thoughts. It's amazing how people are so reactionary, Michael, that they don't even know when they're getting sound advice. But they're so caught up in their ego and their feelings that they just want to lash out as opposed to go, that's some good advice. Let me think about that.
Absolutely, or they're caught up in their dreams. So I saw the video today. I read the article from thegrio.com. For those that don't know, I'm not only a historian, but I taught entrepreneurship for 7 years. I helped Black people start businesses, get funding for businesses. I evaluated their business plans as well. And the first thing I told my students is don't quit your day job. Don't quit your day job. Build your business while you are still working, while you have a steady paycheck, while you have health care and dental and vision, all that, because you're going to have to constantly reinvest in your new business. You're not going to be able to pay yourself a salary the first year or second year, et cetera. And when it comes to African-American owned businesses, currently approximately 8 out of 10 African-American owned businesses go out of business in the first 18 to 24 months, which means most likely you're going to lose your investment, et cetera. Okay, so I'm all for people being entrepreneurs who want to be entrepreneurs, okay? Secondly, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. This is not glamorous. This is some tough shit. This ain't for everybody, okay? A lot of people get a false impression of being an entrepreneur from economic empowerment gurus who make money selling entrepreneurship classes and entrepreneurship books. That's a whole nother conversation. Some of it is good. That's their hustle. And they're trying to keep hustling so that they don't have to get a job in the cubicle next to you. So a lot of them are selling dreams. But get a business plan. This is sound advice right here. And you're going to need health insurance, okay? I'm in a situation now. I've had to go get a job a few times. I got a full-time job now, and I like it because I got health insurance for the first time in a few years. My blood pressure is healthy because it was at 193, okay? I had high blood pressure. I lost 35 pounds the right way. I'm cool, and I still have my business bringing in money. So this is sound advice. Don't take it personally. And she told people, I'm not trying to discourage you, okay?
Right.
Look, some of y'all have to get a job, and that's absolutely correct.
So Candace, again, I think right now, you know, people love the concept of being the boss. They love the idea of being an entrepreneur. They don't really want to deal with the realities of being an entrepreneur. And this is one of those lessons that you have to deal with because you still got to have your house note paid or your mortgage paid or your apartment paid, and you got a car note, and you got food, and you got other expenses. I mean, look, listen, and guess what? You may operate that way for 6, 8, 10 years before you're ready to go to the next level. That's fine. But you got to be patient and understand you have to build to that point. That's what it's called, building.
Exactly. And you know I have a business. I have a haircut business for like 16, 17 years. If you are looking online, and like Michael said, you are going into these free online sessions where they get on, and then as he said, really that person on the other side is making money off of you because you're buying their business plan. You have to stay out of that lane because Instagram will make you think that you can do a million things, and it's all not true. It's just in your algorithm. It just keeps on feeding you wrong information. Let's go back to Tabitha's backstory. This is why she's a good person to listen to this information from. What was it, 2017? She was eating a vegan sandwich from Whole Foods that went viral, 50,000 hits in one day, 1 million in a week. And then because of her enthusiasm and what she did, she got on TikTok and she built and she built and she built. 2017 was what, 8 years ago? That didn't just happen overnight. So she knows exactly what she's talking about. And she had other dreams. She was driving an Uber at that time, eating that sandwich in a car. That was her side hustle. She wanted to also be an actor and do other things that she was able to do now. But she built all of that and had all of these things going. There's no person in this world, even if you are a multi-millionaire, you should not just have one income anyway. It doesn't make any sense because your job that you are so loyal to, it's not going to be loyal to you when they're ready to let you go. They will let you go quicker than you could kick your favorite dog, as the saying goes. So you always have to have a side hustle. Multi-millionaires who are out there have a side hustle. Beyonce doesn't just sing and dance. She's got perfume. She had a clothing line. She's got, different things. It's never just one thing anyway. You should never depend on one thing as your income. And if you're sitting home and you have zero in your account, but you are hoping and building on just a dream and your hope, that hope is not going to pay your bills. You talked about pivoting before. You can't pivot in the dark because your lights are on because you can't pay the electric bill. You're going to trip over yourself. If you don't have any money and you've exhausted all of your resources, all of your friends, all of your network, which is what a lot of people do, then you do have to get a job. And what's the matter with having a job? What's the matter with having some insurance? Now, some people might say, yeah, but I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do an Uber. I wouldn't work on the side at Macy's. I could never work in Walmart. Well, that's on you because sometimes those are the jobs that you have to work in order to build your dream. We have so much, privilege and rights that we kind of banter about online, and we're just kind of not seeing the forest for the trees for the forest, however it goes. We are not seeing the light. And the light is that if you don't have money, and if your job is not, if your entrepreneurial spirit has kind of exasperated everybody around you, soon you're going to start losing people. lost your money. Now you're losing people. I see it happen all the time. It's okay to have a job. It is okay to have a job. Not everyone's going to be an Instagram star, and that's okay. Your time will come. Until then, you need money in your pocket.
Matt, I love these folk who believe they want to have their own law practice. And you go, you got any clients? Because if you ain't got no clients, you just got a shingle.
No, have you been to law school?
Well, you know,
no. First of all, obviously, if somebody wants to have their own practice, they've been to law school. But my point is, you can go to law school, you can actually pass the bar. But again, if you're going to start a law firm, you kind of got to have clients. You need revenue, Matt.
Well, I mean, you got to start somewhere. I was going to say, you always throw me off when I expect you to be loud and wrong as usual, and you're not. You're 100% right on this segment, I think.
First of all, I am never loud and wrong. So maybe your audio is bad, but go on right here with your little comment.
I don't go ahead and rewrite history, but in any event, here's my position on it. I think you're 100% right. I think Tabitha Brown is 100% right. But I think this speaks to a larger cultural issue. And for once, actually, I'll disagree pretty vehemently with Candace. I think we live in a society where we should be able to subsist on one job. I don't think you should have to have a side hustle. We should live in a society where there are enough government programs and other things that we have that allow people to go to one job, work a good job, and provide for their family on that. Now, don't get me wrong. Retail, other jobs may not provide you enough to do that substantially, but a cultural problem in the idea that everyone needs to have a side hustle. You shouldn't have to have a side hustle, and I think that's a relatively new economic phenomenon that as many people need to have side hustles to survive as do. But aside from that, I think the larger cultural issue is that we have an issue with not being in control, right? Like what we see lionized and what you see glamorized that you've already spoken to, I think, very well, is this idea of being the boss. But there is no lack of dignity in not being the boss. You know, there's no lack of dignity in working for an organization. I'm a seasoned lawyer. I'm in high demand where I am. I work for a firm. I'm not the person who owns this firm. I could go out and start a firm, but I don't feel like I'm successful because I work for an attorney firm right now as opposed to working for myself. I can do that if I want to do that at some point, but I don't feel like I'm less important or less successful because I work for a firm where I became a named partner, but when I started out, I wasn't a named partner here. My point with it is that's a cultural thing that I feel like is a relatively new phenomenon, especially where everybody feels like they have to be the boss to be valuable. And I think that's the larger problem here. And I think that's why people took such umbrage to this, because what you see pumped out every day on social media is you're behind the curve if you don't have your own LLC. You're behind the game if you don't all the tax code and all that stuff. And all that stuff is BS, man. I mean, there's no lack of dignity in working a job. It's good if you can have a side hustle. It's good if you have the bandwidth. It's good if you have specialized skills. It's good if you have the vision to capitalize on those things. But there is no shame in being a plumber. There's no shame in working for the local school district. There's no shame in working a good, honest job and putting food on the table. And, you know, in this situation, I've got 3 boys at home. If I were out seeking some entrepreneurial dream and I was not putting food on the table, by all means, excoriate me and tell me to go get a job. But if I'm able to, you know, provide for them as the way I need to, and I have a side hustle, then cool. But if I don't, that's also cool. And I think a lot of the thing is right now we're seeing this conversation where it's like everybody's got to be this boss, and that's the larger issue. And I think that's why people feel a little attacked. But I think her advice and her opinion is spot on. I think you should work, and I don't think there's any shame in doing both things at the same time.
Matt, I got to jump in. Matt,
absolutely.
What are you going to tell?
Candace, go ahead, get in his ass.
Matt, what do you want to tell the 319,000 black women that lost their job between February and July? What about those who had a side hustle? You think they're better off or worse off? They're better off. You can't depend on a job in this economy in 2025. I'm sorry. Yeah. Even back in the day, my mom was a teacher. She also taught piano. My dad was in education, and then he also owned properties, the properties which, you know, they were able to relay over to the legacy and all of their daughters. You got it. Black in America, I'm sorry. Even just the whole idea of staying in one job for a creative person who's going to explode sitting on that 9 to 5, you better have a side job somewhere or side hustle somewhere. You mentioned, being a plumber. What if somebody has an accident? Then what happens? You can't, do anything if you lost your leg or lost your right arm. You talked about being on the school board or a teacher. What if the school closes? What if the charter school closes? What if you lose your job? The side hustle is good. Yeah. I'm saying that you don't want to be caught out there without anything on the side. Plus, even if you are a multimillionaire, not a multimillionaire doesn't just have one job. They invest. They buy properties. They do other things. It doesn't matter what level. I just think you're missing the message on it. That when I say side hustle or another job, I don't mean that in a pejorative way at all. I mean that no matter who you are, billionaires don't just have one job. Think of all the billionaires you know. They don't do just one thing. We shouldn't either.
Sure. And here's the thing, good sister. I think you actually missed how I framed it. So I think it's a matter of, I think you should be able to subsist on one job. Now, if there's a different question as to whether it's prudent to have a side hustle, then by all means, we can have that conversation. But contingencies, things that can happen. I mean, I don't disagree with you. If I lost my job today, I wasn't able to practice law, I'd have to pivot. That would be an enormous change to my life. But should I be able to go to one job in this country with the riches this country has and be able to provide for my family? Absolutely. I don't think you should have to have a side hustle, irrespective of whether a lot of people do. I don't think that there's a problem with necessarily having a side job, and I surely didn't think you were characterizing it in a pejorative way. I think culturally we have an issue if most of the economy cannot subsist on one job where they put enough food on the table to buy a home, keep food over the
Okay, all right, stop. All right. Okay. I mean, okay, all right. First, listen. Stop. Okay, that's a separate conversation. Okay, so first of all, both of y'all are correct. All Matt you're simply saying is we're not saying everybody needs to have a side hustle. The whole point is this here. The conversation here is if you're choosing to be an entrepreneur, you have to build your business properly. And you can't walk away from a job when you don't have enough revenue coming in to sustain your lifestyle. So all she was saying and all I'm saying is if you would have an idea and you want to have a job, you begin to methodically build your business, keep your job, have your health care and your dental and those things. And as I said, this is it. Then all of a sudden, when it gets here, now you're at decision time, and it's simple as that. Before I go to break, Matt, what happened on Saturday? Matt, can you read that for me, Matt?
Take that down. Go ahead and take that down. Nope, we're not even doing it.
He's getting you.
Matt,
I brought this for you tonight.
Because Matt, I recall you. It was a whole lot of trash you were talking, and I told you y'all were gonna lose to Ohio State, and y'all did. But Matt, don't you also have a professional football team?
Don't do that, man. Come on now.
Matt.
Come on now.
Matt, not only did you take an L from Candace tonight, you now have taken 2 L's in the past 6 days. So put the graphic back up. No. That fly, Eagles fly. That also goes for Henry in the control room. Oh, big time Cowboys fan. That's right. Give me a shout of control room. That goes for Deshaun, our driver. That goes for Antoine, our videographer. All 3 of them are super hyped Cowboy fans, but they used to taking them L's. They used to it. So, Matt, I told you I'm going to be King Petty, and see, I wasn't even going to do that, Matt. I literally said that in the last 3 minutes. But it wasn't until you made that little trifling ass comment about me being loud and wrong, and I said, literally, I literally had no plan. If you look at the show chat, I literally sent it at 7:44. like 60 seconds after you made your comment. And so I went, oh, since you now got something to say, let me go ahead and be petty.
Well,
so,
I was sitting on my couch when you sent me a video. You sent me on the golf course saying, "Ooh, how'd that turn out, Matt?" On Saturday, I didn't want to hear it. So go ahead, call me out now. But it's going to be November 28th. We're getting that dub against the Aggies, and you won't have anything to say when I'm on your show next week.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I'll be petty. See, sometimes don't touch that stove. Your mom and dad told you, don't touch that hot stove. But see, your little ass want to go ahead and touch that stove. And, yeah, I had something for you. Let me go to a break.
Smoke.
I'll be right back. While Matt has to now go get some ice from that kick in his ass that Candace gave him, the Eagles gave him, and the Buckeyes gave him. I'll be back in a moment.
Next on the Black Table with me, Craig Carr. Immigrants lured off Texas streets and shipped to places like Martha's Vineyard and Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, we've seen it all before.
You people in the North, you're so sympathetic to black people, you take them.
60 years ago, they called it the reverse freedom rides. Back then, Southern governors shipped black people north with the false promise of jobs and a better life. It's a part of a well-known playbook being brought back to life. So what's next? That's next on the Black Table, a conversation with Dr. Gerald Horne about this issue of the reverse freedom rides, right here on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
DC has been ravaged and taken over by tanks, soldiers, police officers over the last 2 weeks, and it's only starting there. Trump has announced that he also has plans to bring this to Chicago, Baltimore, and New York City. So we're going to dig into it. This is On the Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Coles.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson.
Yo, it's your man Deion Cole from Blackish, and you watch
Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
Supposed to follow it. Folks, we lost one of our history makers. Got the news last night that retired military officer, Joseph McNeil, Major General Joseph McNeil, who was one of the 4 North Carolina A&T students known as the Greensboro Four, who integrated lunch counters, which caused it to spread across the South, passed away at the age of 83. On February 1st, 1960, the Four sat down at a segregated Woolworth's lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina. Quiet yet powerful act of defiance against racial segregation led to a massive firestorm across the South. And it began to pop up left and right. Pull the audio up, please. This is when I was on the campus of AT&T. This is the monument to them on the campus.
I'll provide the sacrifice. You provide the spirit, and I will open up inside. You provide the fire. I'll provide the sacrifice.
He served in the U.S. Air Force, and every year, I actually had the opportunity in 2020 to speak at the breakfast. That's where I shot that video, that statue that sits outside of the hall there. It is on the campus of North Carolina A&T, and they were 4 freshmen. There were 4 freshmen, Candace. They didn't seek anybody's opinion. They didn't ask around. They just were in the dorm room and decided, you know what, we're going to do this. And then went down there, quiet, unassuming, And that action sparked similar sit-ins all across the South.
Yeah, it really is a peaceful embodiment of what we know young people can really do. We do see this a lot today, but especially back then, where the stakes were even higher and so much more was at risk in terms of them sitting there. I mean, it is wonderful that he lived that long. I think there is one person that is left out of the four of them that is living. And I think it's just a great example of how young people really need to live their lives. And it serves as a reminder of what you can do when you're just one person, two people, three people, four people who really began a whole movement that we're talking about decades later.
I remind people, whenever I give speeches, Michael, and when I'm talking about how people can be change leaders, I often will ask, are there any college freshmen in the room? And I would ask for 4 to stand up. And I will often remind them that that's all it takes. All it takes is for folk just to simply, or even less than that, who have the courage to actually do something. The Greensboro Four, David Richmond, Franklin McCain, Ezell Blair Jr., and Joseph McNeil. And when I do that, people sort of look and they're like, man, is he being serious? Yeah. Again, they didn't call they didn't say let's call all the student organizations on campus. No. These are 4 cats who was in the dorm room who said, you know what, let's do this, and they went and did it.
Absolutely. And at this point when this takes place, because they start February 1st, 1960, SNCC doesn't exist at that time. SNCC is going to be formed after this, around April, May 1960. And these sit-ins started by college students. They're going to spread to about 50 cities in 9 different states, okay? And we're going to see that this is going to become part of the inspiration also for the famous sit-in in Nashville, Tennessee in about April of 1960 with Diane Nash and John Lewis as well. So this is a real important piece of history to see how they were part of the civil rights movement. They added another layer and brought a different vibe, momentum to it, where college students could get involved. You know, when I was younger, you know, we were taught basically Dr. King was the leader of the modern day civil rights movement. But when you really study it, there wasn't one leader, and people got involved different ways. And this was one of the ways that people got involved in the movement, and it's going to lead, one of the things that leads to the 1964 Civil Rights Act being signed.
To that point, again, when one small action can lead to anything, Matt, as Michael was talking about what this led to, yeah, this is February 1st, 1960. SNCC meets at Shaw University, April 1960. But what happened in those 3 months, there were 58 sit-in centers in 12 states. And those were the students that made up the meeting of SNCC. And so people were inspired by the action of just 4 college freshmen. And there's somebody who's watching right now. They've got kids who are in college. And a lot of folks say, hey, and I've had this conversation, hey, listen, I'm just a freshman. I'm just trying to get focused. I'm just trying to get focused on graduating. But these 4 said this thing was so important, they led it. And so, we are eternally grateful for their work, for Major General McNeil and those other 3 gentlemen who did what they did.
And not only did they inspire others, but my understanding is that Woolworths was desegregated 6 months later. So that also shows that no matter what it is you're running after, you may have to do it for longer than you expect to get the outcome that you want. But, when you're 18, you're a college freshman, you take such a bold action with 3 other people standing behind you, and that, starts that snowball. I mean, it takes a lot to commit to a course of action at any age, let alone 18 and a college freshman, and for them to not only do it and for that to cascade into all the other around the country and SNCC, down the road there at Shaw is an extraordinary thing. So if you are young, you have the power, even if you don't know that you do.
Absolutely. And so Ezell Blair Jr., the last surviving member of the Greensboro Four. He will turn 84 on October 18th. And so condolences to the McNeil family and to all of the North Carolina A&T Aggie family across the world. All right, folks, that is it. We had a couple of pieces of our best of the last 7 years. We'll use those next week. Monday, I'm going to be broadcasting live from Montgomery, Alabama. I'm heading to there for a couple of meetings at the Institute down there. And so looking forward to that. And so we'll have that stuff for you. Let me thank Candace for being on today's show. Let me thank Michael for being on today's show. And go ahead and put those graphics up for Matt. Go ahead and put up, please, that Ohio State score. Beating, knocking off his little Longhorns, his Shorthorns, no longer number one in the country. And I'm thankful that over the next 10 days, Matt, Henry, Deshaun, and Antoine all have to endure the pain of another Cowboys loss. It's always great to see orange tears as well as blue tears. What a glorious week it's been. All right, folks, that's it. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Candace shaking her head like, yes, Candace, I'm petty. I am absolutely King Petty. I fully embrace that title. Thank you so. Say it again.
I said pettylujah, as they say.
Yes. I shall continue to be petty. All right. Thanks so much, folks. I appreciate it. Hey, folks, our goal. We turned 7 years old yesterday. Roland Martin Unfiltered, 4 years old, Black Star Network. We've set a goal to raise $1 million between now and the end of the year. We've got a couple of new shows coming down the pipeline. We're getting ready for 2026, traveling across this country. We're going to be spending lots of times here in Georgia. We're going to be in North Carolina, other places as well, in Texas. And so your support is absolutely crucial for the work that we do. We've had 45,000. That's right. Let me get the right number for y'all, because these are the number of people that have supported this show since we launched has been unbelievable. And we have 45,000, I think it's 45,216. I think that's the number. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure I give the right information out. 45,216 donors to our show since we launched, and we appreciate every single one of them. We want you to become one of those, and so join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you want to use Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right there. You can also, of course, use that for credit cards, for PayPal. R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send it to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version I read on Audible. Also, folks, get our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. That's right. Get our FAFO Project 2025 shirt. Don't blame me. I voted for the black woman. Shirts, hat, mugs, all kind of good stuff right there on the website. Resist 47 shirt as well. Be sure to buy our black-owned products right there, of course, from shopblackstarnetwork.com. Got some great products on the show, on the website, and so support those companies. And be sure to download the app Fanbase if you want to invest. $13 million has been raised. $4 million left to raise in the Series A fundraise. Go to startengine.com/fanbase. Startengine.com/fanbase. Folks, that's it. We always end the show on Friday with all the people who support our show. Again, let me thank the women with the reason I was here in Atlanta. That is the Nobel Women Annual Legislative Conference. Let me thank State Senator Tanya Ferguson and all the folks who were here. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett spoke before I did, so it was great to see her and the others there as well. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow from Montgomery, Alabama, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla!